4 years in, and it's definitely time to sort out this jungle. It's become really overgrown and I can hardly get down my pathways anymore. So let's get started. So we seem to have a snoozing cat right there under my plants. Well, anyway, what I wanted to look at today is when I started my garden, going back 4 years ago, I didn't really think that a lot of these plants were going to grow to the size that they have. And it has turned into quite a jungle down here. So I need just to have a little look around and see if I can take any out just to make a little bit of space. The bamboo there has got loads of new growth on it, and that's Fargesia rufa, a clumping bamboo. And also my spider's web is doing very well this year. Reaching up for the sky there. But I know that along the bottom there's 1 or 2 euphorbias that I can remove, and maybe just move a few of these plants into some spaces that I can make down there. So let's have a look and see what can come out. Now at the bottom of the garden, I really love this Euphorbia welfenii, and I won't be touching that. But if I just pan across the garden, just here we have a silver swan that it is growing, but I think I have got a few of these in the garden, so I think I can take that out and just replace it with something else. And I think I'll just see as I go along what I can move. But there's definitely a lot going on down here. Now also by some of my pathways, there's a lovely Photinia Louise there. But again, underneath this fantastic palm tree, and this is a Photinia, so it's not really getting the best of light under there, so I may move that down to the bottom of the garden. I've also got a few filler plants in the garden, such as this Persicaria red dragon, and that is getting a little bit out of control, so I think we could trim back most of that and it'll be ready then for its next spurt of growth. So nothing here in the garden was planned, and I didn't expect for a lot of these plants to get to the height that they have so quickly. But I think that just by trimming back some of these filler plants and just moving 1 or 2 of the other plants, I'll be able just to be able to walk down my pathways a little bit easier. The Persicaria is a great addition to the garden, and it really fills up spaces when you're waiting for things to grow. But it does tend to take over if you let it. But don't be afraid of just chopping it back, because it'll soon grow back up to the size that it was. Doesn't take long for these plants to fill out. And already, just by trimming back a little bit, I can see some of my other plants. I don't know how long this rain is going to hold off, but let's see how much I can get done in an hour or so of the garden today. That's looking better. Just to give you an idea of how much I'm trimming off, just look at all this here. This has got to go. I think also some of these lower leaves on the Fatsia japonica can be just pulled away from the stem, and that will just give us a little bit more passing space. It's later on in the evening now, and a few people aren't gonna like what I've done in the garden, but it needed to be done. So let's start with this area here. So I've trimmed back all of the Fatsia japonica, and that has given me a little bit more space. So I've moved some of the heart's tongues ferns and just planted in some small pink china underneath. I haven't bought any new plants, so it's just what I already had in the garden. So looking at it now from the other direction, I've just added in a little pittosporum and another little fern there at the back. So the whole garden has had a proper thin down. I've removed a bamboo that I had just tucked behind there because there's no space for it to grow, and took one of the ferns up from the back, and just look at that pathway now. It's a much clearer view now. I'm really happy with it. It doesn't look now like an overgrown jungle. So again, I've just cleared the bottom leaves of the Fatsia, and walking down the pathway, the first thing that I notice about just tidying up the Fatsia is that it gives a lot more space for this Schefflera to grow. That's going to get a lot more daylight now, and it'll hopefully do really well. So just move in now to the left at the bottom of the pathway. If you remember, I did have a large phormium here, and this is just a pink crispy that I've moved from another part of the garden. And also, I can get round this corner now, the euphorbia that I had here has now gone, and now that is a Photinia Louise. So that should do much better there. It was underneath the Trachycarpus Virginiae and it wasn't really getting any light at all. So I'm hoping now that that'll flourish and do really well in the garden. It's surprising at just taking out a few of the plants how much more space there is. So again, I've just taken the lower leaves there off the Fatsia. The Alstroemeria, that decided that it didn't want to do too well, so I've removed that. And it's nice so that the plants now have got a lot more air. And it'll be a lot easier for me to weed. I've trimmed back all the Persicaria, and it's been a long time since I've been able to see through to the other side of the garden bed. But I'm really pleased now in the difference that it's made in the garden. The salvia at the top of the path on the left hand side, the cherry lips, that was growing a little bit over the pathway. So what I've done is I've just moved that underneath the loquat tree, and that's got plenty of space there now to grow. I've removed some of the Persicaria Red Dragon, but most of it I've just cut back. It will grow back again, but just for the moment it's nice to have that fresh airy feeling in the garden. So I've also had a tidy up of some of the plants in the bed, and really just to give the roses a little bit of space to grow. I didn't realise that everything was so crammed in, and these now should get a nice bit of sunshine and they should do well. They are coming, but it's only the second year. The Salvia Hot Lips is definitely doing well in the garden, and that's a really lovely bright colour on them now. It does look now a lot more emptier than what it did this morning. There's a few spaces in there, but I prefer it. I think it looks a lot neater, and it's still quite full. I think with all the fronds now out of the tree fern, and the way that that Fatsia japonica was, they were almost meeting across the path. And it really was getting quite difficult to walk through the garden. But I'm really happy with the result. The rhododendron now is just going over. But it's still looking lovely in the garden. And I just can't believe how much tidier it is. It looks like a completely new garden. Wonderful. It's lovely now to have a little bit of space in between the plants. And it's really showing off the Schefflera. The new growth is really doing well on that, and I'm so pleased. And I'm really liking that down the bottom of the garden. I think the little touch of pink on it, it just looks so lovely. The Photinia Louise. The Formium, I can't believe that this was squashed in the centre bed against the pathway. No wonder I couldn't get down there. And that now is just by the bird table. And I've just filled that up ready now for tomorrow. So looking at it now from up here, the garden doesn't really look any different to what it normally does. But I can tell that it's looking a lot tidier. It's much better now. I was quite lucky. The rain held off all day, so I was able to get some of the work done in the garden that I wanted to do. I thought it was going to rain, but I think it's definitely going to rain tonight. The polycarpa that I moved last week, that's really settled in now by the wildlife pond. And I think the rain that we've had has definitely hydrated it, as the leaves were looking a little bit squashed and a little bit dry, but they're looking much better now. The grasses are also doing well in the garden, and I think the little bit of rain that we've had has really been good. And just look at them flowers now, pushing out on the Cordyline australis. They're getting bigger every few days.